No, I'm not. It'll take a couple minutes and then it'll even out. So I recognize it's very late. You know, it's like what, midnight here, so that means it's 3 o'clock on the East Coast and it's whatever times everywhere else. But tonight, you know, just sometimes you really connect to what's real. And for those of you who don't know, this is Derek Lambert.
What's up, everybody?
He's one of my teammates, and he's real. And, you know, on this page, I have a hard time kind of fabricating anything or making anything that it's not, you know what I mean? Like, I don't produce an image where I'm like, hey guys, it's blah 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 and it's Shanna here and let me play some rap. No, I like literally just project my soul, and he's capable of doing the same things and does the same thing. And tonight we were already having this conversation before this video, and we're like, dude, we need to do this on video. He's recording on 2 cameras here, and I was like, I want all of my people to be able to see this because it's special. We're both gonna talk about how we got clean. I also want you guys to follow his page because you're gonna see some incredible things. Like, weird transformations are taking place, and they're good weird. Mm-hmm. So introduce yourself, and then I want to know how you got clean. Like, go through the stuff that you told me. Okay. It's crazy.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm Derek Lambert. I'm over 4 years clean. I took an abstinent route. Not saying that's the only way. That's the way that worked for me. 4 years ago, I was completely hopeless. I had DSS, Department of Social Services, was ready to take my kids away from me. But I guess I should back up a little bit and go ahead and build up, because it's emotional, but it's deep, and some real stuff happened to me. I was obviously on my run. I didn't want to quit the drug, but I wanted my life to get better. Mm-hmm. I was shooting up. I'd been shooting up for about a year. The stuff on the street then wasn't, if you did the shot, you were going to overdose. It wasn't fentanyl. Not where I was at. And I was just running the streets, Shanna, like doing like typical people. But my thing was, I was a thief. I would find sheds to break into. I'd go into a store or a pawn shop, steal from a pawn shop.
Didn't you pawn your wife's TV and then go buy it back?
You want me to share that one?
Yes.
I'll give you one scenario. I don't want to take up too much time. I love everybody out there, and if someone hasn't told you they love you, seriously, we do. And we're not just BSing anybody. That's a fact. We know what it's like to be empty, broken, alone, and you're not. I have a YouTube channel, so if you guys ever have videos you want to check out, I detoxed on my couch. I was 7 days off heroin, 5 days off heroin, and I just started documenting it because someone else inspired me. And it's so important. Okay, so I'm fiending. My wife kicks me out of the house because DSS is going to take our kids, and she's a good mother. She says, look, if you don't get your shit straight, you're done. Well, It was stay with her or choose the drugs. To me, nothing, I'm doing the drugs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm with these people, I'll leave unnamed, sleeping on their couch, doing some horrible things to keep my habit going. And I said, you know what? We've got electronics. So I kick my door in, literally like from pow.
She locked you up. Okay.
Well, she went to work. And I kicked the door in while she was gone at work and went in and stole the TV. And this is a TV I'd probably...
Oh, to make it look like robbery? Or you just didn't have a key?
I don't know.
You just wanted to kick down the freaking door, dude?
I can't remember whether I was trying to make it look like a robbery or whether or not I didn't give a shit.
No, he didn't have a key.
And it might have been that. The wife's in the background says I didn't have a key. Kicked the front door in, and I went in. I took this TV with these people. We go to the pawn shop to get straight. For anybody who's out there who's done these things, you know, it's not the end of the world, okay? But we got to make a change, right? Well, I kick this door in, Shanna, and get this TV, go to the pawn shop, get the 140-something bucks, go get straight, because I was so sick. Then we went and did a landscaping job to get paid back, went back to the pawn shop, got it out of the pawn shop, returned it to the house. She didn't know a thing got taken out of the house that day. That's just an example. I know, I'm lucky. That's just an example of like one of the many things we did prior to the end. I felt internally like my end of the run was near.
Yeah.
Part of me was like, this is going to be me the rest of my life. But I felt like an end had to happen. I felt it prior. So I was trying to get clean, and I was looking up ways to do it painlessly.
On YouTube or
YouTube.
Google? Yeah.
What over-the-counter medicine or what, always trying to find a way off.
Yeah.
And shit got real weird real quick one day. I call my mom. I can't call her for money anymore. I told her for 90 days, every day, just one more. I promise tomorrow. That's it. I swear to God, I'm done. Just this $20 more. And I did it, and she gave it every day. And it came to a point when DSS got involved that she had to either enable me and lose our kids or kick me out. Mm-hmm. And it was the hardest thing she ever had to do. So she kicked me out. And I kind of left willingly because I was sick of fighting with her about something I was going to do no matter what.
Yeah.
It wasn't her fault. And so that's for those moms who've lost children too. It's not their fault that they have to make strong decisions, because I've had the moms call me. Anyway, I don't want to sidetrack too far. I call my mom this one morning. I'm on that couch at those people's houses. They worked together. They were like a boyfriend, girlfriend, and they knew how to get the drugs. I didn't have options. So I'm calling my mom, and I told her, the dope man has my ID. He's threatening to shoot up my house to kill my family. If I don't pay him back $140 that he fronted me, making up a story.
You're making up a story. Okay.
Yeah, she didn't believe me. So I had to spend the next 4 hours making it believable.
Okay.
Lying
I've been
and
there
lying.
Before. Yeah.
And I go on and on and on, and I literally, mom's like, I'm not doing it. Well, finally, she says, I tell you what, I'll pay this guy back, but I got to pay him myself. And I said, you're not going to a gangbanger? This dude's a blood. You're not going to a gangbanger's house.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because I was really going to get it to get straight.
Yeah.
I didn't owe anybody money. They were done fronting me. You know how many times I dipped out and went to the next dope dealer, and then finally had to run into the one that I had to pay back and find a way to pay him? It was just ridiculous. It never ended. So this day, I go with my brother. It was the last time I ever got high and didn't know it. And I end up going to this dope dealer's house, get straight. Me and my brother did this bag together, and my mom said, Derek, I will give you this $140 if you promise you'll go to this lady named Elise. She doesn't mind her name being out there. Okay. If you'll go to her house and get clean. And I'm like, whatever. I'll get them I'll get them off my back.
So this led up to that. Okay. All right.
I was so done with myself. Can I cuss on here?
I swear all the time.
Okay,
so.
I was so fucking done, dude.
Yeah.
I was at my end of my road, and I went to her house just to get mom and dad on my good graces, just to get my wife and I back in good standing.
Sorry, yeah.
Just to get DSS off my back so they didn't take my kids. Just so that I could pass my UA for my parole officer. Just so my life could get better. But I'll come back to you, my honey, my sweetheart, heroine. I'll come back to you, don't worry. You know that love relationship that's there. It filled the void that I didn't have filled. It temporarily made that satisfaction there. So I go to her house. She's like, you're staying up. We're going to talk tonight. And I'm thinking, no, we're not. I'm out. I just did this huge shot. I'm about to go to sleep. And I resisted her and went to bed. But before I went to bed, I turned my phone off. And you know how we don't do that now? Like, you just plug it up and let it charge?
Yep.
I turned my phone off. And I went to bed. And the next morning I woke up to turn it on. Freaking out a little. I was panicking. You know how you panic without your...
Yep.
I don't have the drugs.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So I go to turn it on, and it won't turn on. I didn't do anything wrong to this phone. It just wouldn't turn on. So nothing important here yet. Nothing's good in this story yet in terms of my phone doesn't turn on. Whoop-de-doo, right? Some weird stuff follows here. This is where it was beyond me. I feel like something was trying to talk to me. Don't know what. I still don't understand it, Shanda. It's just...
I have my own perspective.
You do.
I like keeping it open, right? So
you really do, though. I mean, and I respect that because I've seen this stuff in person with what y'all are doing. It's real. I end up going to the people's house. I'm asking them to help me get my phone on. They don't know the reason I want my phone on is so that I can call Black, I can call Vic. I'm throwing names out, okay? These aren't government names, but I'm throwing names out. Let me call these guys so they can run by, drop me a 20 bag. I'll pay them double. I'll pay them 40, 45. I don't care. My phone's not working. This is why when you go to treatment, just to give you a throw out, because I talk to people, doctors, people, places, things, and they tell you, Give me your phone.
Yep. The blackout period, they called it, for that exact reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can't get this phone on for 4 hours. We're trying. The people at the house are feeling so bad for me. Oh, your poor phone. We're so sorry. Little do they know, I'm trying to get out of here. I don't want to be here. I'm already reneging on everything I promised I was wanting to do. I'll get all these things straight. I'll get all this off my back. I didn't even want to do that. I wanted to go right back out and use. And while I sat there just miserable, no hope, no love, my mom comes over. And while my mom's there, she turned and looked at me. Now, I'm cold. I have no soul. It had taken everything from me. It literally took everything that meant anything to me in my life to the point where it was wanting to replace all those things and be the very thing that mattered to me most. And it did. Mm-hmm. Heroin was my God, if I can say it.
Yeah.
And don't take my God away. I have nothing to live for if I don't have my God. Literally everything I had. My mom looked at me. And this is when the miracle started. This was the realest miracle. This wasn't a person walking on water for me. This wasn't the Red Sea being split. This was the realest thing I ever experienced in my life. My mom looked at me and she said, Derek, I love you. And I looked at her and I said, you know, laugh it off a little. Love you too, Mom, you know. She says, no, son, you don't understand. I love you. And I'm like, I love you too, Mom, you know. Mm-hmm. I get it. She's starting to get underneath whatever the fuck was going on in me. Mm-hmm. And she said, no, son, you don't understand. I love you, son. And when she told me that she loved me that time, third or fourth time, I can go there every moment to this day. I knew. I didn't just say, I know. I knew at that moment that she loved me. And it reminded me of that verse in John, the Gospel of John, where Jesus says, do you love me? Feed my sheep. It was the realest shit I've ever experienced, and that was the start of the realest experience of my life. And I've been clean ever since she loved me. Mm. And this wild story began to unravel, and it was the world around me lined up physically for me. And it was like, and then not to be self-centered, but it looked out for me. And that's when I knew, okay, I felt something. And then the lady, this is where it gets raw. The lady turns to me and she's like, just going to be raw for everybody. She says, shut the fuck up.
Why did she say that? You said, what did you say that made her say that?
I was talking with Mom.
Yeah.
And she told me, shut the fuck up. And I've never, my wife, when we argue, she might say, yeah, shut the fuck up. Whatever, in an argument.
Yeah.
This came out of nowhere and it angered me. Instant anger. I don't know what happened there, Shanna. I don't understand. But she looked at me and she said to me, you want to hit me, don't you? I did. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I don't hit women, but I did want to hit her bad. It angered me. Then she turned to my mom and dad and she said, Mike or Patty, I can't remember. It's one or the other. Get The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein for my dad. Told my mom. And I'm thinking, dude, this chick is so out of her mind. She's so whacked out of her fucking head. She's telling my dad or my mom to get my dad a kid's book. I'm a drug addict about to die from drugs, and she's not saying, get a mother of a dying child book by so-and-so doctor. No, it was a kid's book. I'm thinking she's crazy. I was so upset that I told her, I'm detoxing. I'm going in the room. I don't feel good. Really, I was pissed. I had a resentment, instant resentment. Didn't want to even see her. Hours later, my dad calls me. Hey, Derek. And he's not a very spiritual person. He's never openly been spiritual. He's been to church 3 times in 18 years, and they're all for weddings. Never went for let me go praise the Lord or anything like that, right? Mm. And he said, son, I'm not very spiritual, but I want you to hear something that's really weird. Your middle son, Caleb, because I have 3 boys, and you have 3 kids too, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. My middle son, Caleb, brought him a book and said, Papa, can I draw in this book? And it was Shel Silverstein, The Giving Tree.
That was after the lady asked your parents to get this book. They didn't even go out and get it.
Dude, after they came to my house and this lady randomly said, you need to get this book for your husband, okay? That night, my son brought that book to my dad. And my dad yelled at my mom, Patty, where did this... he's Special Forces. He retired Green Beret, so every third word's a cuss word. Where the fuck did this book come from?
Yeah.
And she said, we bought that at the flea market early this morning in a box of books. It's The Giving Tree. And that's when he had to call me instantly.
Yeah.
When he told me that, I was like, okay, what are the coincidences? I'm thinking, how can I,
rationalize it? Yeah.
I gotta rationalize this, man. I can't believe this is real. There's no real. I mean, dude, this is bullshit. I can't believe in anything. But I started feeling something was coming up, like a fighter was coming out, like a wolf. Ever since my mom told me she loved me, that moment I felt like something was uneasy. There was a war settling inside that was going on. And at that moment when my dad told me that book was there, I had goosebumps. I had goose skin. I knew something was talking to me. So I talked back to it. And all I didn't call on a name. I literally just said, if you want me to stay clean, you have to do it. I don't have the power. I don't have the strength. I can't do it. I've tried. I failed. I had 2 years clean. I failed. I cannot stay clean. You have to take, you got to take the car and let me just not even drive at all. Like that's literally.
That's surrender.
And when I surrendered, everything started getting easier. I wasn't fighting anymore. It was like almost too easy. Go watch my day 5 video and day 7 video of me on heroin on my YouTube channel. All you got to do is Google or on YouTube, type in DEREK Lambert heroin. You'll see 7 days off heroin. You think I wasn't even detoxing. My mind was there.
I remember you were so articulate. Like I started watching your detox process and on YouTube and I was like, he's too well spoken for a junkie.
Yep.
Excuse my language, and I don't really care. I wasn't well spoken back when I was getting clean, and I was like, how is he so articulate? You looked the role, like you looked sick, now your teeth are whiter, your face was sunken in. Back then I was like, I just don't understand. I didn't tell you that, but I was watching it. I was like, what the fuck?
And that's okay, because a lot of people commented, didn't believe it was real. There's no way you're withdrawn, bro. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. It was more, there's so much in the mind that matters in this. I know a lot of people have 30 days clean and they act like they just got done shooting a shot. It's all up here. In my mind, by the day 7, I won the battle. And I wasn't even through everything. I didn't start sleeping good till 16 days in. I had my moments of weakness in my head, like just give in. It's easier just to keep using, is what my mind kept telling me, than to actually get through it. That's the truth. I wanted to use at times early on, but my mind was overwhelming. You have to do this. I didn't give myself a choice. It was do or die, and I was not about to die. I won before I did it.
Yeah.
Because it took over, whatever it was.
It went before you, and that's why I don't know if I tell you that all the time. It's something I pray often. Like, God, go before me. Before any situation even happens, or before this period of my life or in time is going to happen, go before me and make my ways straight.
Right.
He does. It's the alignment. It's the paths just coincide. I was talking to Richie about this, and then I'll...
No, you're fine, please.
I was like, what if the foundation of everything here already exists, right? There's nothing new under the sun. And every possibility that ever existed, the format's already laid here on Earth, right? So nothing new can essentially be created. All the paths are already there, like little webs, right? And we're just walking through life on these little webs. And when we don't have that direction from God or it or whatever you want to call it, we're just at the whim of the webs, right? We're being blown to and fro by every wind. You know the Bible, right? So this is like a man who built his house on the sand, and just all the webs are taking you wherever they want to take you. And when you pray, you intercede, right? It's called intercession, where he comes down and he takes these webs and makes this one straight.
Right.
Here, let me take these two and make them straight. So there may be nothing new under the sun. All of the substance exists here, right? But it takes that intercession of my will, connecting to him, giving him my will, and then just saying, you go before me. and align these things, right? So you're no longer at the whim of what's carrying you anymore, or
Right.
where the web is going to lead you. It's a cut and clear path. But anyway, sorry, that's what my mind just.
She's very deep into these things too, and I love that. I mean,
They don't get to see a lot of that though. They usually see my depression, so I feel bad about it.
Oh,
but,
really?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen some of that, but I've also seen your positive side and stuff. I think there's going to be a lot more positive coming from you, especially after tonight when we went to the meeting and we saw those things. That was really what sparked this whole thing we're doing right now. I think we need to do it more.
Yeah.
I see a side of you here right now that I'm like, dude, if the world saw that, you know.
Well, some of them are right now.
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, I'm serious though. I think that what we have is not of our own doing. I think there's something bigger at action.
Oh
here.
yeah, he is. It you know, to you, I'm always respectful.
Well, I don't use a personal pronoun.
No, I got you.
But I do it on purpose.
I understand. You're almost leaving the possibilities open, right? I just ended up getting a name, a very specific name that was, you know, it was cut and clear to me. It wasn't what I wanted to apply. It applied itself, and its name was Jesus, you know what I mean? And that's where I stand with it. So when you got clean, you said things were just, like, too easy.
Well, if you knew you were going to win something at that point and you know you can't lose, you go into a battle or a fight or a game and you know you're that much more confident. I don't know what happened, but a switch, and it's like a switch went off. Like it was like boom, but I was still afraid, even though I was still afraid. You know how that like be still and know that I'm your God type thing.
Yep.
Okay, it was like that, but I knew I was gonna win, and then I had moments of doubt along the way. It's like, look, come here, Peter, walk on water. You know, come here, and it's like looking down a little bit, but I didn't. I kept trying to focus, and I went, and where was I at in this? I'm at this lady's house. I have to leave her house at 4 days. Okay, the Giving Tree, my mom and dad, the book. I leave her house. She says, no, stay for 4 more days. I really suggest you stay in a good area, good like location where you're safe, so that you don't relapse, because relapse is a huge thing. I didn't realize how serious and how dangerous it was for me to even leave her house. I didn't know. This is why if I ever relapsed again, I would, being that I work with you guys, like this is what we do as a team. If I ever fell, I would beg that you guys would come.
Oh, we would like lock you in a cage if you decided. And I already talked to Richie about this. We have this own conversation between ourselves. Like we would literally, if it's not rehab, if one of us isn't willing to go, if that happened, like I am locking you in the fucking basement, and we would do the same for you guys, just the same. No, like I'm fervent about it because there's something always bigger happening, and if one piece falls, they all fall, right? You know.
It does.
So,
well, I can't guarantee you that I could do this ever again. That's how serious this is. I don't know if I could come back. I was really bad off. I mean, death is what I was barking up. The last time I tried to use, before I leave her house, my wife was prescribed Percocets at the time. Now this is crazy too. On top of everything else, how can you stay clean when someone who's truly prescribed for serious situation with spinal deterioration, she's got all these medical conditions, and she's prescribed the very medicine that began my journey down the path to finally putting needles in my veins. And I got clean, and not only got clean, stayed clean 4 years. And most of those 4 years she was prescribed these medicines, and they were in her purse next to me. 3 feet from me. How the hell am I not finally, at least one day at a weak point, I didn't pop over and grab one? Not once.
Yeah.
Something I kept tapping into, and I held on to it. I kept going. Last time I went to use, I took 2 of her Percocets. I knew how to manipulate everything of her. And finally, I'm like, let me get another one because I'm going to be withdrawing tonight. The withdrawal is going to hit me. I know for a fact I'm going to be sucking. So she leaves, and she's like, you know what? All you care about is my painkillers. You don't care about me. Truly, at the moment, that's all I was focused on was the painkillers.
This was before you got clean, right?
Yep. Yeah. Before I got clean, she drives off, and while my prides are like, no, I do care about you, but that's not all I care about, because when you accuse us, my pride popped up. She's driving off, and I'm thinking, no, my fucking Percocets. Like, seriously, give me my Percocets. Well, she leaves, and withdrawal starts setting in. That's when I actually took all the spoons and syringes that I had out of my book bag, and I was squeezing the syringes. I don't know if you guys see my hand, but I was getting the chunks.
Gross.
Like, there's residue left. And then it's been sitting in my book bag for months. And I'm hoping out of all the syringes that I had that I could come up with a concoction that had enough opiate in it to give me something, anything. I was that desperate. Yeah. So I took this chunk of chocolate soup, which was really my old coagulated blood, and I melted it down. And I ran it through 2 different cotton filters from, Q-tips.
Yeah.
And I shot it up. And I waited 30 seconds. Nothing. Then I waited a minute. Nothing. And then I realized I just shot some, I don't know what, up. Mm-hmm. And it didn't do shit. That's when I knew I'm in trouble. So, that's okay. I have my Suboxone. I've got my way out. And I take half of my Suboxone. That's when it threw me into
precipitated withdrawals.
And it was the worst withdrawal I ever went through in my life. The best way I could describe it for anybody who hasn't gone through it is like spider webs. It was like spider webs under my skin, and there were spiders crawling. Goosebumps. I'm sweating, crawling to the bathtub. I probably took 12 bathtubs, and I moaned.
You shot the shit up, but you felt it came in waves, and that's...
My detox happened in waves.
Here, you scooch in. I want them to be able to see it somehow.
Well, yeah,
I know it's like...
I just want to make sure you're in there, too.
I'm fine.
It came in waves. At nights were the worst. Finally, I leave her house. Skipping ahead. 4 days off. I smoked Marlboro Menthol Black 100s. Excuse me. Those were my cigarettes. When I left the house, I went to the gas station right near my house and bought a pack. And when I did, I'm 4 days off heroin, everybody. Like, I am a child in a world without a mother giving me milk. Like, I'm in a dangerous place right now. And I go up there to buy these smokes, and on the front page of the newspaper, I lived in Fayetteville, North Carolina. In case any of you know, that is where I was running the streets. That's where I was getting down, doing all my dumb shit. And I went and got this pack of smokes, and this is October the 25th of 2015. If any of you guys check the newspaper, you'll see. The front page of the newspaper had an arm with a rubber band or like a tourniquet type thing, and a syringe hanging out of the arm, and it said, "Heroin epidemic sweeping North Carolina." That's when I knew. I was like, holy crap. Now, I could read into this. Coincidence, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But at this point, I was hearing this voice within me that was telling me, you're on the right path. Keep going. Mm-hmm. And I realized this was a sign for me. So I read that newspaper article, and there was a guy named Sean. And he said... Some interviewer from the news said, "What's your name?" He says, "I'm only going to disclose my first name. I'd rather remain my last name anonymous so nobody knows who I really am." He was in this treatment program near the house, and he said to this lady, "Heroin is as if God came down from heaven, and he wrapped his warm arms around you, and he says, everything's going to be okay." That's what heroin is. And I related. I was like, oh my God, that is exactly what it is. So that's when I went to that same meeting where this guy was found at. And as soon as I'm listening, everybody share, "Hey, my name's Steve, and I'm an addict," because it was an NA. "Hey, I'm Bob, I'm an addict." "Hey, I'm Sean, I'm an addict." The only Sean in there.
Yeah.
After the meeting, dude, I grabbed a hold of him. I was like, "Dude, are you the Sean from the newspaper?" "Yeah, that's me." I said, "Your story affected me." Now I'm skipping ahead, just saying that I met that guy, and I connected with him. Till this day, he stays in touch with me.
That's what's up.
Relationships I never had. I go, and I'm skipping ahead. I'm going to meetings. It's Christmas. I can't buy my damn kids a single present. I can't afford anything. I have no job. I'm depressed as hell. If it weren't for going to meetings and having a community, dude, I don't know how I'd have sustained. I needed an old man to say, hey, son, my name's Jim, and I'm an alcoholic. I went to AA mainly, and he looked at me and he says, "You're in the right place." And then he shared something that you can't teach in a textbook that went inside me. It wasn't just analytical. It was deep. And it kept me going another day. I remember the first time I went in there withdrawn, I was 5 days off heroin. And you can go on my YouTube channel and actually see me and my brother outside of AA, detoxing on my YouTube. And I'm smiling because I got that win. Kurt's dying in the passenger seat. "Oh, I'm gonna fuck this, dude." Like, miserable.
Yeah.
I went in there and this guy stuck up 5 fingers at me after I talked, and I was crying. And I said, where's the button? How do I turn this off? And he says, I know how you feel. I know how you feel, son. And he looked at me, and I knew he knew how I felt. And I didn't feel alone. And the pain subsided. The withdrawals even subsided when I'd feel that. And then it came back. And then I needed another message, another thing that pushed me another step. And I kept going. Now I'm depressed. It's Christmas. I have no money. Anything I'm getting is either from my wife or my mom or someone. I have nothing. They're kind of like, when are you going to get this job? When are you going to make money? I started working for this car wash called First Place Car Wash in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Anybody can look this up. It is literally where all the homeless people go to get food. A man named Mike used to own it. He was a Christian man who got killed. He got jumped and got beat up and went brain dead and died. But this man used to help the homeless, and he was a recovering addict as well. He hired me. Every employee he had just about that worked there was on crack and probably other substances, but mainly crack. And they were stealing my tips. I'm the only white boy, dude. This is the hood. This is not a joke. This is like the only white boy, and they're like straight up in the hood, and I'm getting all my tips taken from me, and I'm not about to go up against all these dudes trying to win a $5 tip.
Yeah.
I'm not going to win that fight anyway, you know? Mm-hmm. And the boss man says, hey, tomorrow I need you to go down here, drive your truck, and I want you to go wash these trucks at this place called HBC. Horn Brothers Construction. All this is Google. You can search this is real. So I drive the next day and go and wash these trucks. And I ask the man, do y'all hire felons? I'm a felon. I have a stain. I'm not who I was, but I made a mistake. And he said, well, yeah, I kicked the door in on a sheriff and I got a felony charge and they hired me for me and my wife getting in a domestic violence redneck, you know? And I'm like, yes, okay, they hire. And they take care of people because I could tell they really did good with their employees. And the next day I went to work, I asked the car wash, hey, do you mind if I take Monday off? I got something to take care of. Really, I was going down to HBC to try and apply for a job.
Yeah.
I'm sick of that car wash. It was not good for me. And I kept asking my higher power, you literally saved me from dope, and you had me working in Crackville. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm getting all my money robbed from me in a legit business. Like, what are you doing? Asking this thing inside me. When I went to HBC on my way, I found out one of my friends was going there that I went to high school. He worked there, and I went to high school with him. 1 second.
This does this occasionally.
Can they see you or no?
Now they can.
Okay, cool. So my buddy that I found out worked there, he's driving home and he's crying on the phone, and I'm like, what's up? He's like, dude, I just got fired. They fired 33 people for felony urinalysis. The day I go out there, Shanda, 33. Is the day 33... Yeah, Jesus lived till 33. Yeah, there's 33 vertebrae in your spine.
I used to see the number 33 everywhere. Interesting synchronicities.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I go out there to get this job. 33 people were fired for UAs for drugs. The drug addict is getting a job at a place where guys got fired for drugs. And I go up there. They hired me the same day. And the guy asks me in the room, and I was so blunt, can you pass a urinalysis? I said, I've done a shit ton of drugs in my life, but I could pass that damn urinalysis. And the dude laughed his ass off, and he was like, you got the job. So I leave that place. I got the job. Go to buy my pack of smokes from the gas station. On the front page of the newspaper, solar panels sweeping North Carolina. Horn Brothers Construction is a renewable energy solar panel company. What are the odds that the day I get hired a job, on the front page of the newspaper, solar panels? So it doesn't add up. My stomach's fucked up. Like it's like got air rumbling through it, dude. And what are the odds that it keeps happening? Mm-hmm. You know, I'm serious. I don't know what else to say. So I kept going to meetings. I kept going, and I stayed clean. And one day my channel turned in from me just saying, hey guys, I'm 174 days off heroin. I'm 653 days off heroin. To, all right guys, I'm 3 years clean. Hit me up if you need help. And then it turned into just like, people went to me for advice. Then people were like, my son's going through it, or I just lost my son to heroin. Please give me comfort. And it became like a a thing where it's actually being used to help people, and people in Ireland and stuff are using those videos to their patients who are going through treatment right now.
That's
They're
awesome.
literally using my content in Canada, Ireland. A lot of overseas places are using it to help their patients because they're showing that it can be done.
So in ending, I'm gonna hit a smoke before I get into my story. I want you to kind of plug yourself and tell them, you know, where you're at today, like what you're doing today. But I don't need to like dip out on you. I just want to make sure.
No.
That I need to like pray for a second.
So she's about to get deep, right? So stay tuned. You're going to want to check her story out because you might hear something of an aspect from her you haven't heard. And that's what's important is you guys check that out.
Talk about what you do.
Oh yeah, so if you guys need help, you know to reach out to Shanna. You can also reach out to me if you have to. I have a YouTube channel, so you guys can go and subscribe to it. It's Derek Lambert, and also have a Facebook page, which she tagged in this video. So you guys go over there and like it, show me some love. If you have any questions, you want to ask anything, I'm open. Whatever you guys want, like I said, just reach out. So she said plug me. I think I plugged me pretty much. I'm on Instagram too. Just getting started on Facebook side and Instagram. So you guys are more than welcome to follow me, whatever kind of questions, like I said. I did this thing abstinent. I don't go around and say that's the only way. I just know what worked for me. And I'm not against any avenues that help save lives, because one of my biggest motivating factors is I have a brother who's still out there. And my brother is he's still fighting this animal, and I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him go.
Yeah.
My father's an alcoholic, and years of just all the shit that goes on with that. I told myself I'd never be like him, and I turned into my dad, and I didn't want to be. And it's really crazy how that works. But are you back? Or are you kind of?
Yeah, I want to grab a piece of gum.
So let me see. I went to a Detox, Belinda, if I pronounce that properly. I went to a Detox called Roxy near the Cape Fear Valley Hospital, and they actually closed it down. So
yeah,
keep showing each other love, everybody.
There's somebody out back, and I thought it was Richie, so I was like, I love you. I guess it's not Richie, so.
I think he's out in the front.
Richie.
Yeah, well, somebody got some love.
I rambled on, and don't mind my stomach. That Indian food, I think, really is.
It does.
I'm telling you, it's like a rumble.
Because
like,
it's healthy food trying to infiltrate.
Okay. Your turn, Shanna, because
I'm gonna pretend I love you guys to death, right? But
Here.
when I get in this place, it's impossible for me to acknowledge that other people are watching me. So I'm sorry I'm not acknowledging you. I just get on a different wavelength. Something channels and I become this sometimes, and this is who I really am, and it's hard for me to actually show that. You get to see other sides of me which are just as real, but this is like a different one. I'm just weird tonight.
right.
And I normally don't stay up this late. So ever since I was a child, I was really fucking weird. If you can only imagine me now, just as a small person.
Right.
Very bizarre. There's this weird thing, like with my family, I don't know if it's like with the women in my family, but it happened to my mother. We're very synchronized, her and my life, like as far as how many children, in what order the man I was with that I had a baby with left me. First one, so did my mom. All of this weird shit. And when she was 5 years old, she said, I think she was like afraid that her mom was gonna die. You know when you lay in bed and you're like, oh my God, what if my mom dies? When you're a little kid, you're like start crying and oh my God, this is just not gonna be okay.
Right.
But like this was a different emptiness for her. She truly felt alone in the world because she didn't have like the greatest upbringing. And so she's laying in bed and she said just like a voice, you know, said like, I'm with you. And a calm came over her spirit. Her parents never went to church, never talked to her about God. She got, at 5 years old, my mom started riding a little bus on her own accord, walked herself to the little bus, got bused to this church. She found a church at freaking 5 years old. Don't know how, but she had a calling on her life, right? But then she also had like a similar darkness. I believe that there's a force. We talked about this before. If it sees the light, it comes to drown it out. And she started messing with Ouija board in her teen years. And it did something. I believe it like opened up a channel into my life as well and into my siblings' lives. So when I was 5 years old, at that point my father had left, and he was like everything. I just adored him. You know, one person that made me feel not alone in the world besides my older brother. And he's like, I'm going to Colorado for 2 weeks. My dad has cancer. I'll be back. And, you know, I believed him. And he didn't come back, and he was just not coming back. And I had a stepdad at the time. I've made amends with him now that really just didn't like the fact that I existed. And my mom, at the time, I didn't know she was on fentanyl and painkillers. I never knew my whole life, so she was despondent. And 5 years old, and, you know, like, apparently, I mean, at that point, she had been bringing us to church, I believe, in San Antonio, where I was born. But it was just something a little more weird, because I was always tapped into, like, I was the kid in preschool and in kindergarten, you know, where everybody else is normal and they're finding their way in the world. They're like little people. I was literally cutting like ears and tails out of construction paper and taping them to my forehead. And like, I was a different animal every day. Like one day I'm a fucking turtle. I'd go home, I'd do my little crafts. This is just how I operated in the world. If I'm an animal, I'll fit in. Or like, I don't know. I just have to be a different animal every day. I was really weird. Which I was, I guess, the weirdo in school. And 5 years old, and I have this first dream, and I don't understand what's happening, but I go outside of my house, and I step outside on the sidewalk, and everywhere I look, the world is in complete chaos. And there are like these little goblin-type creatures. They're torturing my neighbor. They're breaking things. They're destroying the world, as a 5-year-old sees it. And I go out onto the last step of my sidewalk, and I lift my hands completely in the sky, and I start praying in tongues. I didn't know what tongues were. And the whole sky lit up, just beams of lightning shooting down, and the world was at complete peace. And it was like something told me, you have that power. Well, then there was a second dream, where I'm riding down the sidewalk on my bicycle. These are all at 5 years old. And another goblin-type demon comes to try to take me off my bike, and I said, I am a child of God, and you cannot harm me. And it stopped, right? Then there was the most important dream that ever happened in my whole life, and it'll always stick with me. And there are no words to describe what this meant to me, right? These are all callings, because shit gets weird after this. I'm in this orange place, like a deep orange, like sunset, and it's all sand and there's sky, and it's heaven. It's straight heaven. There's nothing physically that you're looking at that you know it's heaven. It's something within you that I'm at peace, and something's holding my hand. I know it's Jesus now, right? Didn't look at him, didn't see him. And this feeling, it almost like, I like swallowed the feeling, like heaven inside of me, and it's always stuck like right here. I subliminally allude to it in poetry, and nobody knows this until now. And it's like this place stuck with me, and like maybe it only started happening like twice every year that I would feel this feeling again, this complete peace, and it made me not afraid of death. I'm not afraid of mortality or like the idea of death. I know where I'm going. I know what exists outside of this. And like now, about once a month, I'll feel it in my stomach, and this peace comes over me, and I'm back in this place. It was like, and I don't even mean to be spiritually cliche, I was one with everything. Everything was complete. There was no void that existed in this place, and this place wasn't just a place. It was my being and God's being, and we finally, you know, I believe like he took us. He said, I made you in my image, right? So take a piece out of God, place it in a different dimension, and add all these things to it, and then that piece comes back, and we're in tandem. I don't know. So all these wonderful things, this calling was placed on my life. Just always weird. I'm seeing everything spiritually, but at the same time, there came the darkness, and every night in my room would shapeshift. Like, it's not a joke. My 1,000-pound desk would just move, or my dresser, or the end of my bed, and then my closet to my left was like a portal to hell, and I would see shadow figures every night. Sleep paralysis from like a very young age, where something would physically, visibly come into my room and paralyze me. I was like literally terrified to go to sleep alone. I would tell my mom I'd scream every night. Then I would try to go in my brother's room and sleep in there, and she'd make me go back in my room. And I like lived in the attic room. It was actually the attic they made into a room.
Oh, man.
And I grew like very terrified of the world because I was seeing things people are not seeing, like they're not talked about. Nobody's talking about this, and I'm just a child and I don't understand what's happening, and I don't have the same view on the world that everybody else does, because what happens to me every night in my room is something different, that either I'm an anomaly or maybe all of this doesn't exist and I am truly an insane little child. And I grew like really close to Jesus at that point. Like it was that was the only thing that would take that fear away. It wasn't just like a thing I'd made up, because when you get that terrified and that scared, there's got to be a place of comfort you go to, or it doesn't exist at all. There is no reprieve from this, and that was the only reprieve. I knew I had this calling. I knew there's weird stuff. They talked about Jesus in church, but it wasn't the same as what I was experiencing. Like, he wasn't the same. Well, to get through all of that, like, this continued to happen to me my entire life up until, when I actually got clean, and the sleep paralysis would come. And every night I'm terrified because these hooded, cloaked figures would come in my room. I can't move.
Jeez.
I can only look around. I can't scream. There's nothing. And then I learned, I think I was like 16 the first time I learned it, because I told my mom what's going on. She knew what was happening. She's like, just call out to the name Jesus. It's like, yeah, what's that gonna do? Because, like, I'm being paralyzed. And I started doing it in dreams, because they would also come in my dreams. Dude, I was so tormented, like, for many years of my life. Like, not normal. Like, every night, not just sometimes. And I would always be woken up at 3:30 in the morning on the dot. Then they'd be in my room the whole night, every night. And it started happening in dreams where they'd visit, and I'd scream out the name Jesus, and I would wake up, right? And that I practiced at the one time. And this is where I don't go in depth with like certain things that have happened, because they manifest around me every time I do. So I won't talk any more into that particular subject,
Okay.
because it opens up something. And this has happened before. I'll tell people, like I learned I will stop naming specifics because they want to be acknowledged. This
Right.
certain presence, these certain things past a certain point are given life when I give them my actual audible life. But I would cry out the name Jesus and it would stop. Now, it didn't stop it from continuing to happen. Well, fast forward a little bit. I'm on salvia at 16 years old. This is after I started dabbling into painkillers. And this is also stuff I don't normally share. I'm up in the attic with my boyfriend, my brother, and his friend. And we're all sitting in a circle, and we have a little candle, and this is a house that absolutely was, either I was haunting the house or the house was haunting me. It was like tormenting. It was awful. After my mom separated from my stepdad, apparently I hit this bowl of salvia, this bong of salvia, and I thought that I'm just looking at everybody still in the circle. The weird part, right? I'm looking at them, and I see them for what they are. They're human, but they're humanoids. Like, I saw human beings in a different way. Like, I don't know if I saw what was within them or the darkness within them, right? Like, they almost became lankier, their eyes different, right? That's my brother, that's my boyfriend, that's his friend. But they're not them anymore. And they're sitting in the circle explaining to me. They said, Shanda, all of this isn't real. Your whole life is not real. None of these things, we're not real. We are actors. Like, we're deceiving you to make you think that you're loved, that this whole experiment that's going on is real. And, we just wanted you to know that. And it was like every foundation of my world fell apart, because it was so real what was happening. Like, I saw the world through different eyes, and I could never unsee it. Well, it turned out I hit that bowl, I got up, they said I walked over to the right corner of the attic, sat down, and they could visibly see a shadow, and I talking. I turned my back to all of them in the corner of the attic, and I'm just talking the whole time. Then I get back up and I sit in front of them. this whole time I'm seeing
Dude,
them,
that's
right?
freaky.
It was. For 2 years, at least 2 years after that experience, I could not recognize my own human body. Like, the darkness just manifested, like, in me, in the world. I still saw everybody for what they were. Like, I couldn't unsee it at this point. If I looked at my hands or my feet, it would send me into, like, a manic, panicked state where, like, this isn't mine. I don't recognize this. Like, I get that I can move it, and I get that this body is appointed to me, but this is not what I am. Like, I am not this human figure. This is, and I just felt inherently alone in the world. Very awful. And I was seeing the number 33 everywhere, constantly. License plates. The one time, I mean, everywhere. One time I told my mom, we're in Walmart, walking down the pasta aisle. It is not the refrigerated aisle. It's Walmart. Pasta aisle, sauces.
Right.
Mom, I keep seeing the number 33 everywhere. And she's like, oh, it's just making it up, whatever. We're down the pasta aisle, and there are these pack of steaks just put in the pasta aisle, just randomly walk past it. 33 was the cost of those steaks. And I was like, Mom, like, this is happening, right?
Synchronicity, yeah.
When I took the painkillers, right, after I got my tonsils out, my whole story, it made that go away. Like, it made what I was okay. And even if I was seeing everybody for the way that I saw them, that night I did salvia, because that didn't stop. It made me feel inherently alone. Like, this is like finding out for the first time you were adopted after your whole life believing these are your parents. Something so shocking you can't believe it, and grasping it literally makes you lose your mind. And when I took the painkillers, it made my existence, like, if I didn't have those painkillers, I would have had no choice but to kill myself. That's how, like, far this drove me off into the deep end of.
Can I say, like, ask? Mm-hmm. And I know that obviously there was destruction with the painkillers in your life, but did they somehow, somewhat help you too in ways?
Yeah, that's why I continued doing them. Not only is it the blanket and all the things you're talking about, but it was something deeper for me.
Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, this was like the cure to this.
This not knowing that you were human and that you're you.
To what I saw, it almost made me. It didn't make me unsee it, but it made it tolerable that this reality existed that I can't unsee, right? And at that point, I didn't really realize that there was anything wrong with the painkillers. It just didn't occur to me that I'm becoming addicted. I didn't understand still what addiction was, even though my boyfriend had overdosed and all these things happened, and I just didn't get it. And the one night I go to sleep. No, this is my ex. He was revived, all that. One night I go to sleep, and I really think, like, I'm in control of this. This is fine. This is just what I have to do to make my life okay. And I need these, they make me feel all of the things that come along with actually taking them and the high that you feel. And I thought I was in control. Well, I started practicing lucid dreaming at this point. Lucid dreaming is where you acknowledge that you're dreaming in a dream and you control your reality around you, right? So every night before I went to sleep, I would tell myself, you're going to be dreaming, you're going to sleep. And I would. I'd wake up in the dream and I understand what's going on, and I could control my dreams. Like, I was having out-of-body experiences in real life where I would come out of my body, I'm looking at my body, I'm looking all around the room like I am a weirdo, okay? Most people don't know I am this weird.
You just don't know the half of it, trust me.
Yeah, you really don't. And this one night, I'm thinking I'm in control of my addiction, all of it. I wake up, I'm in the dream. I know I'm dreaming because if I go into a mirror in a bathroom and it's too dim for me to see my face in the mirror, I know I'm dreaming. That's my signal that I'm dreaming. So I'm like, oh yeah, all right, I'm gonna like cream. I can't punch people when I'm in a dream. I also cannot run.
And I relate to that, by the way. So.
They said, why would we wait for you? It doesn't want us. It wants you. And they're running, and I'm running as hard as I can, and my legs are like there's cement around them, like it's impossible to run at this point. And I remember thinking, you know that you're dreaming. If you go into any of these houses now that you're outside, it's going to find you. It always finds you, whatever it is. So I'm running. I decide I'm going to stop running. And I can feel this thing behind me. And I'm walking, there are street lights on, and this deep violin music starts playing. I'm walking down the street, I'm finally realizing what's happening. And I said, all right. And I stop in my tracks. I know it's behind me. And I said, all right, God, I'm going to face it. I turned around to face it, and I woke up. This dream was like a pivotal, most terrifying thing. It may not even sound as scary as it was, but it like shifted again my reality. And I woke up and I realized I am not in control of this addiction. This is demonic. What is happening to me? I've opened a portal, or a portal has been opened, and I've allowed this thing inside of me. Like it's in my mind now. There is no outer control. No inner control. This is not something that can be controlled if I partake with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to destroy me. But I couldn't really stop. And at 19, when I did meet a guy that I ended up having my first son with, I did finally get clean for a period of like 6 or 7 months. I surrendered. I laid it all down after a few weeks of drinking. I got down on my face because I had a fucked up night one night where I drank a bunch of liquor, blacked out, like, gets made out with this gay dude, and my boyfriend was like, what are you doing? And I felt guilty, and I got down on my face. I surrendered. I said, God, take all of this from me. Take my desire to drink away, everything. Woke up the next day, no desire for anything. I quit smoking cigarettes. You know how I smoked cigarettes. Everything. And I thought, life is perfect now. I'm sober. I got this. I beat this. I made this my bitch. You know what I mean? I'm getting close to Jesus, all this stuff. I'm super religious. Everybody else that listens to rock music is going to hell, all of it. Like, I believed, like, hard. I went real hard. And that was such a mistake because I underestimated what I was fighting. The one weekend, this is a man that I planned to have a baby with. He wanted to have a baby with me, all of that. We were going to get married. We worked together. We lived together. And one weekend we ended up fighting, and I'm like, all right, I'll go to my mom's house. We never fought, so I was like, okay, I'll go to my mom's house. Go to my mom's house. Get a call on Saturday. He's like, I love you so much. Just come back home. Sunday, I come back home. All of his shit's packed. He asked me to take him to his new girlfriend's house. My mind is just blown. And I just fucking freaked out, took my dog, all of that. Next day I found I was pregnant. Called him, told him. He said, I'm sorry, that's not mine, and you're not my own anymore, and good luck to you. And
wow.
All of this malice and hatred and anything dark that was ever around me, like, became me. And I struggled really hard. I almost miscarried my son once, just the hate. Just that I felt. It was just indescribable. And I fell down like the deepest road of addiction, even previous to that I had ever fallen down, using while I was pregnant, getting prescribed also painkillers while I was pregnant, nodding out, the whole nine. Had my son, I was strung out, almost got him taken away by CPS. If I did not have a prescription at the time, they would have taken him. And for the whole first year of my son's life, it's hard for me to talk about it and be attached to it because it still destroys me, and until I work through it in therapy, it probably will. Right. I was absent. I wasn't there, like, just in any way wasn't there. It was very dark. Then it comes around August of 2014, and I always get this mixed up because everything's a fucking blur, you know what I mean? Things don't piece together anymore. Like, I think they did the first couple years. I could articulate everything, but now it's just all like, oh, to me. Except for my early childhood. I specifically, remember all of that. And took a bunch of painkillers that day because my doctor had cut me off of my painkillers. And he's like, well, here's 90 of them. Like, wean yourself off. Good luck to you. And I'm like, oh,
dude, you don't know me.
Thank you, God in heaven. 90 painkillers, this is amazing. Well, that day I just kept taking them. I didn't have to, have a regimen. I could keep taking them. The long story short, I ended up, overdosing, and I saw hell in a Wegmans parking lot, and I knew I was going to it. And it was complete detachment, devoid of God, devoid of love, devoid of light, good, anything in the world. Complete separation from it. And I said, Jesus, you gotta save me. I'm looking up towards the moon and I'm seeing all these people walk past. You have to save me. I will do anything. I will lay it all down just save my life. Don't let me die. Don't let me go to hell right now. I know what this is. I've been to heaven before. Like, I swear you showed me, and this is not it. Went to sleep that night, told my boyfriend to watch over me, to make sure I was still breathing, that I didn't die, and I woke up that morning, and I kept using. And then, somewhere around the fall of 2014, and I had lost my job, fucking purposely crashed my car to get painkillers. Now I had to live at my grandma's house, lost the apartment I was living at with my boyfriend, all of it, just everything. And I prayed one prayer, and it seemed like impossible for me to pray during my active addiction, because I had the voice saying, you don't want the drugs to go away. Yep. Don't ask, because you have no reason to live outside of this. There's nothing good that will ever happen to you outside of this. And not only that, but then all of the things you were trying to get away from, like the weird human things and not recognizing my own body, all that was going to come back. It was a complete fear of actually having it all gone. But I got to such a desperate place where there was nothing left inside of me. Like, I've compromised everything. I'm not a mom. I'm not anything. I'm not anything I was ever called to be. And there was like a still small voice that was like, just pray. So I prayed a prayer, and I said, God, if you're real, you take everybody out of my life that gives me drugs. Okay. That was the one prayer I could squeak out. Within a couple of weeks, my grandma had been giving me painkillers for forever. She'd been on them for 30 years, decides she wants to get off of them. Get off of her morphine, her Oxycontin, her Percocet. Okay, fuck. I guess grandma's gonna get off the painkillers, so I helped her get off of them. Like, that's what she was gonna do. She's gonna do it anyways. I can't control her prescription. She gets off of them. My grandpa had been stealing his painkillers for forever. Like, I had a method, you know what I mean? I made it look like there were more in it when I took some out, and I would place it just specifically right back where it was, right?
Relate.
Like, down to the inch. I would make mental pictures of how is this pill bottle placed before I got it. I would go, he'd have me go pick up his prescriptions from Walmart. I would open up the bag, because you know it's stapled. I'd take out some pills, reshuffle them, go to my great-grandparents' house on the way back from Walmart, use their stapler, 2 staples twice, bring my grandpa's pills back, dude, every time. He let me go get them. I mean, it was just,
The lengths will go, dude.
Yeah.
My wife used to do that with her Adderall. She would take the capsules, empty half of them out, and then I would look at them and I'd count them, and I'd be like, she didn't take any. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
The staplers and the staple bag.
Yes,
She
that's what I did.
She would untake. You know how your staple? You know how your staple's like this? She would literally bend it. Just to slide it out.
I started doing that, but then I was like, I don't have the patience for this. I'm going to go to my great-grandparents' house, and I would drive out of the way just to use their stapler. I could have bought a stapler, but then I didn't have money.
Well, see, Derek would notice stuff like that because he's been where I was.
I knew
So he
that.
was
So I
overanalyzing
had to
everything.
be very smart because he would be very smart, and I knew if he had a bottle a certain way, I had to put
Go
it exactly
subscribe
the
to
way
her
it was.
YouTube
You know what I
channel.
mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he was smart enough to know.
Yeah,
and I
because he knew
that.
what to look for.
Right, exactly.
I just plugged your
So-
YouTube channel, by the way.
Okay. So,
Things and stuff, so yeah, okay.
just the one day finds out that I've been stealing his painkillers. I think that day I only took 10. Like, it wasn't anything crazy. He had like 200 of them. Like, how the fuck? But I think I kept dipping into it, and I dipped into it too much. I don't remember, but I think that's what was going on. He called the cops on me because he had to, if he would have got called in for a pill count, right? And most of his pills were gone, then he would have no longer got a script. So legally, he had to call it in to the police station to be able to refill that prescription. Well, he called the cops on me, like caught me in my addiction. So I bring the pills back to my grandma's house. I put them in a shed, in a boot, and like hide them and all that. And then Grandpa calls me and I'm like, yeah, I'll come back over and talk to the cop, whatever you want me to do. Like, I don't got those pills. I had my grandma piss in a Ziploc bag because I thought the cop that was there at my grandpa's house was gonna drug test me right then and there on the spot. This is what I thought in my mind. Well, she's on morphine, right? And I thought, Grandpa has Vicodin. She has morphine in her system. I could just say I took morphine because I hurt my back. The cop asked. What the fuck was I thinking? I put the Ziploc bag, double bagged, of piss in my driver's side door, the left side. Drive there to the cop. He's like, I know you stole the pills. I was like, no, I didn't. You could search me. Search the car, whatever you want to do. Yes, I did, but I fucking forgot. I forgot. Not only does he find a bowl in my console, like, you know, the little thing. I didn't
like
smoke
weed
weed at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my ex-boyfriend's bowl. And I was like, that's not mine. Then he opens up the door, finds the bag of piss. And I'm like, he like touched it without realizing what it was, and he was just horrified. I know your eyes are pinned. I know you're lying to me. I said, no, I'm not. I'm out in the sunlight, and my pupils constrict, and in my pee right there that I got for you is just morphine because I hurt my back. There's no Vicodin in it. I mean, it was insane. I've never told that one before. Long story short, they couldn't arrest me, even though I brought a diaper bag with me with vitamins in it. And he heard the pills shaking, and then he just took the bag from me, dumped it all out. It's just vitamins, so solidified the deal. Long story short, Grandpa wasn't going to give me pills no more. We breached the ability to trust each other at that point. He knew I was stealing. My fucking cover was blown. This is after praying this, right? My one drug dealer, his name was actually Derek, interestingly enough. I went to him, he'd always get me like Suboxone or whatever I needed. I would trade food stamps, the whole nine. And I go to him and he's like, hey, my mom like found this Facebook page called The Addict's Mom, and they're gonna like find me a scholarship into a 3-year rehab, and I'm gonna go. I'm not doing this anymore. And I was like, wait, like my grandma and grandpa are no longer giving me anything. You're my dude, and you're not giving that. And at this point I'm panicking, like, what the fuck, you can't just do this one last time. I was being selfish. I didn't want him to go to rehab. I didn't want him to get better, because how am I gonna get better? So he's out, and my internal storage is dangerously low. So let me wrap this up anyways. He's going to rehab. I drive to my other drug dealer's house. His girlfriend answers the door, really tall, long blonde hair, pretty, like she was too pretty to be with this dude. And she's like, yeah, you went to jail. I was like, what? This can't be happening to my fucking life, right? So everybody's gone, and then my last resort, by this time everybody knows I'm addicted. I went to my grandma, I'm like, Grandma, I've got a problem. I ended up like taking the last of her pills that she had after her script was gone. Like, she didn't realize I was stealing them, because I thought if I go to you with my honesty that I'm addicted, you are not going to suspect me taking the last of your stash. So I did that for that reason. Everybody knew at this point. And my last resort is like the day before they were going to try to get me into my local hospital to get treatment or whatever, to get help. And I really just didn't want to do that. Something inside of me told me, like, no, I had fear. I didn't want to do it. And I need to get high because I don't feel well at all. So I go to my grandpa, who I stole the pills from, right? They called the cops on me. My grandpa doesn't know this. Dear God, he does not know this. I don't ever talk about this. And I said, Grandpa, you know, I'm addicted. I really need help, all that. Here's his kitchen, right? Here's Grandpa's kitchen. Here's a hallway. And then here's just a little back desk with a chair there. Well, in his kitchen is the little drawer. That's where he keeps his Vicodin and his Dilaudid, whatever he had. He goes into the back room to make a phone call to his friend who he thinks has a rehab connection. I finally just broke it down to my grandpa, hold this. And I go into the drawer, like, and he could literally lean this way and see me if he wanted to. And this is, you know, my heart's pounding, but I need something. Like, I can't fucking live. And this is after I told my grandma, hey, I need to borrow your car. I think I told her I had to stop at the store or whatever. So I borrowed her car. They all know I'm a junkie by this point. To go over to Grandpa's, I'm taking unnecessarily long, like at the store. And I open it up, and there's no Vicodin in there, but there are some Dilaudid. And I'm like, whatever, I grabbed those out, and I can't believe he didn't know. He's on the phone calling for me to go to rehab. Insane. And how he never looked over is beyond me. And then Grandma starts calling, freaking the fuck out. I took the Dilaudid. I don't remember how many I took. This was the last time I was ever going to get high. What the fuck? I trusted you with taking my car. You already told me you had a problem. Like, my shit's being blown up right now. My world's falling apart. Lost my job. All of it. Like, there's nothing good happening in my life. At least I got these Dilaudid. She makes me come back. I make up a whole story. I didn't do anything. She drives me to my mom's house that night. Like, late at night. And then I just told her, Grandma, I need to go down there and detox. I cannot do it in this hospital setting. Something just inside of me did not want to do it. And it was the last little tiny buzz I ever got, because I didn't crush the Dilaudid, no injections, nothing. And when you just take them orally, you know, you have to take a lot. Yeah. but it was just a little last fuzzy high in my stomach. And I didn't think that was going to be the last time. I thought I'll go down there, I'll detox, appease everybody else, but this is not the last time.
Right.
Like, this can't be. I know that God just did all this crazy shit, but in my mind, I can't let go of this. Get down to my mom's house, and I start detoxing. In the process, I was still drinking some beer because they would go out and drink and ride, and it made it tolerable-ish. But I'm like dying inside, and I'm dying mentally. And on the third day, I had like this spiritual awakening. All of the thing inside of me that told me this is just to appease everybody else. This isn't the last time. That was eliminated. I knew. I woke up to all the guilt, along with the hope for the future, along with hearing my own voice again. Everything just bam, like a fucking tidal wave, like a tidal wave. And I knew this was it. And then I got it in me, like after a couple more days, I need to go back up to New York. I need to get my son because I've neglected him for a whole year. I'm leaving my boyfriend. I slept with somebody else during this period, during my detox period. It was like crazy, the shit I did. And I packed all my shit and I said, I gotta go. I'm moving to Pennsylvania. I literally did. And I moved in with my mom. And that's the beginning of my recovery process. And maybe I'll share more in another video because I don't want to take up all the internal storage, but that's how I got into the process of getting clean. And
your last time getting high.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's a story to this. There's so much more what you've been saying.
Yeah, but I'm gonna run out of the freaking storage if I keep going.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the last time, and then I moved all my stuff down to my mom's house, and we'll do a part 2 to this. How about that?
Yeah.
Part 2 for yours.
Sounds
part 2
good.
for me.
Cool. Share this. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was very interesting for both of us. Love you guys.